Hello and welcome to the Drug Lifecycle Minute. I'm your host, Philip Day. My guest today is Dr. Mukesh Kumar, the Chief Innovation Officer of Drug Lifecycle DLTA. Dr. Kumar, thank you for joining us today.
Hello, Philip. Nice seeing you again.
Nice seeing you. Today we're going to tackle definitely a controversial topic. And that is, how does the Trump administration, the new Trump administration, affect clinical trials? So my first question to you about this is this. What changes can we expect now that the Trump administration is in force? What changes do we expect to see in how clinical trials are run?
Well, not really. Not much changes would be expected because clinical trials are not influenced by the politics of the times. The clinical trial rules are very well established, and anybody doing a clinical trial would have to follow the same rules. The rules for clinical trials are 50 years old and very well established. The standards are international in nature, which are not influenced by national politics, not here or anywhere else.
Okay.
In terms of the rules for getting approval from FDA, we don't expect any changes. The Trump administration has talked a lot about cost reduction, but there is not much the government really does in terms of the cost of the trial. So I don't expect to see any significant changes in how clinical trials are run.
Okay. Well, that's a relief because the standards should be the same no matter who is president or who's running the country. But there is something that a lot of us want to wonder: can government though reduce the incredible costs of clinical trials? Is that even possible?
Well, government doesn't really contribute to that cost in the first place because there is no fee that you pay to the government to do a clinical trial. So government has no part in the fee. Government actually provides all its reviews for no cost to the industry. So there is no fee or cost reduction that government can do. And in terms of the rules for how the trials should be done and how they should be regulated, those rules are there to protect the people who participate in the trial. So government realistically cannot really reduce the cost of a trial. Government can certainly participate in research. Government does a lot of trials, although I'm not sure how much can government do because most of the departments in the government that fund clinical trials are under budget cuts. NIH, which does a lot of trials, has announced that they will lose a lot of their budget, and many other organizations who do clinical trials in the government will not be able to do trials, which basically means that those trials will be done by industry or not done at all. So in terms of cost, government really can't do much.
Okay. Well, then my last question is this. Speaking of regulatory costs, what are those regulatory costs for doing a clinical trial? And is it possible that some of them could be eliminated?
For a clinical trial, not really, because all the regulatory cost is to the industry to create the application that will go to FDA and get approval for that application. So industry spends a lot of money and time developing those applications. Industry can do a better job by doing those same things more efficiently, but they cannot not submit those applications to the government. So I think the best way is to plan it well, have all the regulatory topics planned at the same time you're planning your clinical trials. That way you can reduce a lot of your cost and overheads.
Okay, great. Well, I'm sure we're going to be talking about this more and more with the FDA and the new administration. A lot of things are happening. So, Dr. Kumar, thank you so much for joining us today. And I want to thank our audience for joining us for the Drug Lifecycle Minute. You can find out more about us at www.druglifecycle.com. Be sure to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn. Take control with DLTA and have a healthy day. Bye-bye.